That's it.
We're live.
What does it say? You're fired or you're live?
You're fired. I'm a liar.
Welcome. I'm here. So you
I-
guys, how are you? I'm in
I'm
my
way
kitchen.
down here in the corner. Welcome to Quarantine on Fire. We're back. We're
We,
live and we know everything. How come I'm way down here in the corner?
you are. Oh shit.
Was I bad? Oh, there I am. There I am.
You were bad, but I didn't think that anybody was going to notice anything. But that's fine. Whatever.
Well,
So
we know a lot about food. It's too bad we don't know more about auto mechanics because my car needs help. But
it
that's
does.
another story. Yes, my
Yeah.
transmission is messed up.
Really?
Yeah,
Because of the coronavirus.
I think my car has COVID-19. I'm not sure. Anyway,
Sucks.
there's nowhere to really drive to anyway these days. I mean,
Right.
where you
True.
go? I could just go out and drive aimlessly, but that doesn't seem.
That's what I do with my boy. Sometimes, we can't go place too many places, but I go and pick him up and we go for a drive for an hour.
Uh-huh.
It's fun.
I mean, one of the benefits of this whole lockdown is that I don't remember the last time I bought gas. I just don't drive my car anymore. So,
The gas is so cheap. It's
and gas
crazy.
is cheap, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
now that I don't need it, it's cheap. There you
it's
go.
even cheaper, right?
Isn't that always the case? It's like the old joke about the guy that goes into the gas station and says, "How much is your gas?" He goes, "Well, it's $3 a gallon." He goes, "Well, the other place down the road was they were out, but his is 250." He goes, "Okay, well, when I'm out, I'll charge 250 too."
Oh yeah, that's great. Oh my god.
And there's a lesson in there somewhere, I'm sure. So we have some interesting questions today uh, about learning to cook. These are all kind of related questions. Somebody asked, how do I cook every day if I'm not a good cook? Which is kind of a silly question because if you cook every day, you're probably going to get better or you'll die. So
Or someone around you will die.
someone around you will die. What advice would you give someone who doesn't like cooking to learn to enjoy it? And then finally, what is one trait that would help a person become a better cook? I would say the answer to the last question maybe is patience.
Yeah.
It's like learning anything. You have to be patient and you just know you're going to make mistakes. And
So to learn anything, what I always suggest to people, if they really want to know how to cook, and obviously that would mean they need to train themselves, that which is a long process. But one thing that's easy to do is you take a recipe, anything, something not too complicated. Let's say I want to do a chicken, le poulet chasseur or chicken cacciatore, which I'm going to do tonight for a class. This is not very complicated to do. I would do it following the recipe. I would do it 2 or 3 times the same exact way. I would stop doing it for a week, do something else. And then in a week, I'll do the same exact recipe again without looking at the recipe until I
right,
get it. I mean, like, and then you get it. And then you go to the next recipe. So that's slow because you go step by step. Well, I mean, one recipe at a time. But what we teach at Kitchen on Fire is the technique, so you don't have to look at the recipe and you don't bound to recipes.
but I
It's
think
more general.
if you do what you just suggested, and I think you learn a recipe and you really learn it, and then you go on, and you learn another one, you pick things that you like.
Right.
After a while, you're going to begin to see, well, gosh, I don't want to make that again, but I could use that same technique to
Yeah,
do this.
exactly. Right.
Use these vegetables, use these herbs instead, and pretty soon you got it.
And also, like if you're gonna switch something in the recipe, you may mess it up. It's possible, but then you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I got it. It didn't go soon enough, or maybe it's not good. There's a solution to every cooking. Baking is a little harder because once baking is done, you can't really change anything. Cooking,
Right.
you can always fix it unless you really burn it to death. There's always a fix for cooking. I do a lot of fixing. I've done a lot of fixing in my life, working
Yeah.
as a caterer for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very good friend who's a really really fine cook. He's a food writer, and he told me once that he's not really into baking because for him what he loves about cooking is that he's always fooling with it. He's always checking
Yeah,
something,
right.
adding something, cooking, stirring. And he said with baking, you put it in the oven and there's nothing else to do. You just wait for it to be done. But,
That's not true. There's a lot of things to do while you're thinking
it's
in the oven.
yes, but he
You
was
can,
he was kind of generalizing,
I
but
know, but James, you can go and you can do your gymnastic. You can go and open the oven.
that's
You can do
right.
the left arm. You
That's
can
good
do
for the
both
bicep.
arms.
Yeah,
And if you do that, enough, that thing is never going to cook. For 2 hours, you're going to be here for. For 2 hours, you're going to be here opening the oven.
you'll have really toned arms, but you'll have a completely useless cake. Yes,
Liquid cake.
that's right. That's right. Um, some people like to bake for just that reason that they can, you mix, 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 mix. You put it in the oven and you
Yeah,
put
right.
it
Yeah,
away,
I know.
and 30 minutes later you have a chocolate cake. So
And you think you can cook? No, that's not cooking.
yeah, yeah. So uh, I- but I think that's great advice. I mean, you could go to cooking school. Obviously, that would be a great choice, is to enroll at the 12-week basic course at Kitchen on Fire.
My
Uh,
course is short. My course is 12 weeks. It's about 3 months. It's pretty intense, but it's not a whole year. And I basically remove all the little things you don't really need unless you want to be a professional chef, which you can always learn later anyways. No big deal. It's like the line and few other things, but I keep the most important techniques so you can completely cook entirely anything you want
right.
and work in a restaurant if you want to. The only thing I don't teach you is how to be on the line and how to read those tickets and fire those food, but you know how to do everything.
But if someone's goal is to be a restaurant cook or ultimately to be a chef, then taking the basic course and then going and working in a restaurant, you're going to learn all that stuff
Yeah,
because
exactly. You have to go.
most restaurants do it different anyway. So you're going to learn their style. You're going to
Yeah,
learn the food. But at least if you have the basic skills under your belt, you know how to use a knife, you know how to saute and braise, and
and if
that,
you don't, you learn how you do. You learn while you're doing it. You cannot get frustrated. And if something burns or doesn't cook well, just keep cooking it. Like a lot
right.
of time, if it's not cooked, just go back and put it in the oven for 5-10 minutes, whatever it takes. If it's overcooked, well, next time. If you mess up a recipe, I suggest you do it again right away.
Yeah.
Like that's what really I suggest. You do it the tomorrow. You may be tired of the food, but you will learn that dish for sure. If you stop, you won't learn that dish, and you're not gonna want to be you don't want to do it anyway. So
And I stress again, patience. I mean, it's the same if you're learning anything. If you're learning how to play tennis or speak Spanish, I mean, you know that you're not going to get it all right away, and you're just going to have to be patient. But you know what? If you have a good recipe, you buy a good book from a good author who the
yeah,
recipes work. Unless you're a complete idiot, you can pretty much make
that's
you
okay because I learned.
pretty well the first time. I mean, when I remember getting recipes for things that I had never cooked before, and I just followed the instructions, and it was fine. So,
Yes,
and
right.
I'm a complete idiot. So there you
Not
go.
complete. Not complete.
Not complete. I can chew gum and walk at the same time, but depends what shoes I'm wearing, though.
Oh, it-
So that's it. Be patient,
yeah.
and just keep doing it. Just even if you can't do it every day, do it every other day. Do it as many times a week as you can.
The
You
thing
got
is,
you
even
have to.
right, even once a week. So the idea is, for example, you can't really mess up a dish that bad. You can always eat that. It's not
Right.
great. Most of the time, it's not salty enough or it's overcooked.
Yeah.
People have a tendency to overcook stuff, especially broccolis and chicken. For some reason, they're afraid this thing is going to go away. I mean, broccoli cooks in 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Chicken, 7 6 7 minutes. It's really fast. Like you
Right.
don't need 8 minutes maybe on chicken. Fish, 5. 5 minutes, 5 7 minutes. Everything is fast
And
unless you do.
if you overcook meat, it's not going to be pleasant, but it's still going to taste okay. You can
Yeah,
still,
exactly. It's not
unless
like you're gonna.
you unless you put it in the oven and you go fishing and you come back and it's burnt to a piece of charcoal, that's probably ruined. But that's an extreme example.
Yeah, if you go fishing, don't put steak in the oven.
Smoke billowing out of your house, that's probably means the chicken is overcooked. But
Very, very, very fast.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
everything overcooks very fast. So it really goes like this. So people get frustrated because there's not like, oh, it's nice and then no, it goes and then boom, it's dry.
mm-hmm.
Which is why you have to basically undercook a little bit, let it rest for 5 minutes. While that's resting, it's cooking,
Right.
but away from the oven or the stove. It's very important.
And a lot of people say they don't have time to cook because they have very busy lives. I mean, right now people are home, but I
Right.
mean, normally if people are going to work and they have to commute and they've got kids and they got to go to school, they have very little time to do it. So they say. So what you do is you set a time each week aside for yourself. Say a Sunday afternoon, nothing's going on, and just say,
Yeah.
okay, Sunday afternoon, I'm cooking dinner for the family, and I'm gonna.
You're gonna have to absolutely get back to cooking. Everybody has to cook. I'm always surprised, even if the food, even if you cook once a week, which we have a class here, it's called Cooking for the Week. Even if you cook once a week and you make your food for the week, this is super important. It takes a couple hours, of course, but you cannot not cook any longer. You cannot just buy food that other people makes because you don't know how they make it. In order to be healthy, you need good ingredients, good stuff. I know what goes in my food. Good butter, good salt, good oil, good herbs, good everything. So I know it's going to be good and I can eat a lot of it. I don't have to worry about it.
Also, prepared food is expensive. If you do that every night,
Yeah, well, I sell prepared food, so I
yeah,
know.
yeah, and
So
and you
one thing,
you drive a gold-plated Jaguar, don't you?
I got the key holder already
You should see he's got a big pair of horns on the front. It's very cool.
from
Uh,
the yeah. Um, I wanted to say something about time for eating. This is something that is interesting. People can go home, nuke something for what 3 minutes, or put
yeah,
something in the microwave for 3 minutes, and then eat that horrible food. You need to reheat your food gently. It takes maybe 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. If you don't have 15 minutes for eating and cooking in your day, you need to revise that schedule because
you need to
it's
rethink your life.
it's wrong. If 3 minutes is what you have for your whole health, it's completely wrong. So you
Yeah,
need to change. This is where you need to change. You need to come home, get your oven going, put your food in the oven, gentle heat. In about 14 minutes, the food is perfect. It's nice and warm. If you don't have 15 minutes a day, that's what I'm saying. You need to revise your schedule because this is not going to work, anyways. So
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't have a microwave. I don't have a microwave and I don't have a dishwasher.
I have a
Some
microphone.
somebody or a microphone. Someone asked me if I had a dishwasher, and I said no, but my wife does.
Uh,
Oh,
yes.
hopefully she's not listening today. Um,
No.
all right. Well,
So,
so yeah, cook once a week. People
once
also
a,
who live by themselves have a hard time, but that's even better
cook
because if
with a friend.
you
Cook with
food,
someone. Like
yeah,
literally.
invite a friend for dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have friends, but most people do.
Yeah. I don't have any friends anymore. I don't have any real friends. I have fake friends now.
I don't have
Not
any
true. Not
friends
true.
left because I've cooked for them all, and that did it. That did it.
That did it. They're like, okay, that's it. No more.
All right. So the answer is yes.
Which which
Uh,
which one was that?
to all those
Yeah,
questions.
everything. Yes.
Yes. Be patient. Be happy. Cook yourself dinner. So this is going to surprise everyone a lot, but we were going to talk about cheese. We've never talked about cheese before. Actually, we're not going to talk about cheese as much as we're going to talk about dairy animals, because someone asked a very interesting question. That they said, how many different dairy animals are there? Because there's goat cheese and cow cheese and everything.
Coconut and almond and
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been trying to find a film of somebody milking a almond, but I can't find anything on YouTube.
oh my god.
And they want to know what's the difference and is one better than the other.
Okay.
So there are several different. Well, first of all, any mammal, any female mammal, after it gives birth, produces milk. Very few mammals are used for human consumption. There are obviously cows, sheep, and goats. There are other animals. They make yak cheese in Mongolia.
They used to do the horse,
They used to do horse.
not the
There's
horse, the jument. How do you call the female horse?
her
Mare.
or she.
Meur.
Yeah, yeah. And
Is
then
that
also, of course, water buffalo in Italy makes the really the greatest mozzarella. So why are there different ones and why are they used? Well, if you live in Northern California and you decide you want to be a dairy farmer, you're pretty lucky because you could pretty much do whatever you want. You want goats, get goats. If you want cows, get cows. But if you lived in the Mediterranean a couple of hundred years ago, you didn't have very many choices because most of the terrain right around the Mediterranean Sea is very rocky. It's very scrubby and sparsely vegetated, and you're not going to be able to raise cows there. You're just not. The terrain is wrong. There's nothing for them to eat. There's no big grassy pastures. For that, you have to move further north into Europe where there are green pastures and there's stuff for cows to eat. They have lots of room. It's very flat. So if you're down in the Mediterranean, you're probably raising goats because they can handle the terrain. They can always find stuff to eat. They love to eat herbs and flowers and little scrubby things. And the same with sheep. There are certain areas where sheep just thrive better, especially when it's very, very hilly. It might be a green pasture, but it might be very vertical, and cows are just not going to be able to do that very well. So sheep are better for that. When I was in Spain once, I was traveling on a bus with other journalists, and we were getting bored. And a friend of mine and I were talking, and we told this other journalist because we were going through this area in La Mancha that was very hilly, and there were sheep on the hillsides. So we told her that they breed the sheep special there so that their legs are shorter on one side so that they can stand on those hills. And I said, but the problem is they can only go around the hill in one direction because if they turn around, they just fall and roll down the hill. So she mentioned this to our host later, telling him how clever she thought that was. And he just shook his head and looked at us.
It's an old story we used to tell kids in France.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the story of the shoulder leg on the that's how people describe the goats in France because they say because sometimes the goats are on a super steep hill.
Right.
And the kids always wonder how do they hold, but say, well, there's a shorter side on the side.
Right.
And the kids always say, well, how do they go around? Well, they have to go all the way. So it's an old. That's funny.
Yeah, except that children have an excuse for believing it because they're children. This woman was probably in her 30s and wrote about food, and she totally bought it. She totally believed it.
That's funny.
It was a long bus ride. So anyway, of course, the main dairy animals that most people encounter are cows, sheep, and goats, and the milk is very different. Cows are the most prolific. They produce an enormous amount of milk. And one of the reasons cows became so entrenched here in America is because when the pioneers were coming through, the middle of the country is nothing but grass. I mean, it was a sea of grass. And grass is pretty useless to us, except as a golf course or something. So, but but cows can eat that grass, and
Right.
because they have this series of stomachs and they chew their cud and they do all this stuff, they can convert that grass into very high quality protein.
Because they can ferment that cellulose.
Exactly.
We cannot ferment that cellulose.
So, and they turn that into protein, whether it's in the form of milk or in the form of meat. And
They
so,
turn that, they
uh,
turn that in energy. So
right,
yeah, it could be protein, fats.
right,
Um,
right. So cows are the most prolific. The fat molecules are very big. It's got a lot of good fat in it. It's great for making cheese. A
yeah.
lot of people
The
are.
point.
Oh, go ahead.
No, no, that's the thing. You were going to say a lot of people are intolerant. That's because, first of all, it's a large molecule that's very heavy. It's full of protein. It's too much protein for us. We're too small. We can't capture all this protein. It's not the big deal. The big deal is in France we have two types of cow, and we have one type. It's called it produce A2 casein. So the casein is what people are allergic to in general. Lactose is one allergy. Casein is the another one. Lactose is the sugar. So in milk, there's way too much sugar, anyways, for anybody to drink it. But also, some people are allergic to the casein. The casein is that protein.
Right.
So lactose is a sugar, casein is a protein, and a lot of cows in America are A1 casein, which is the inflammatory casein. A lot of time now you can see now in the Bay Area we have this milk from Alexander Valley that's made with A2 casein cows. It's expensive milk. That's what I bought. That's what I buy here. But it's really, really good. It's a non-inflammatory. And in France, we have a lot of those cows. And I think those are the jerseys. The
Jersey,
jerseys.
maybe. I'm
So
not.
in France, they're called the Charolaises, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I think here they're called the jerseys cow. Is that the ring a name or?
Well, Jersey is a type of cow. Jerseys are the ones that are usually black and white. And then there's Holstein is another big one. Jerseys are probably the most popular dairy cow.
So anyway, so to keep going, the goat is much more our size of animal, and their milk protein are very similar,
Right.
and we can absorb them much better.
Right. Goat milk is much more
Also,
similar to human milk, so it's easier for people to handle.
and the goat have no S1, A1 casein. That's also a very important part. Also, goats they have to be outside. They cannot be tamed. So it's kind of a guaranteed of quality, right?
Right, right. And
Because they
they
cannot.
and like I said before, they thrive on in areas that are not
Yes.
necessarily conducive to raising something like a cow.
Yeah.
So they can be very economical to raise. They're also cute as hell.
Yeah.
Also, for
Oh
people
no, my God, the goats
lactose
are so funny.
intolerant, for lactose intolerance, most of the lactose when you make cheese is expelled with the whey.
Well,
So
and it's eaten by the bacteria.
right. So it's a much better way. We've said this many times on the show, but you should always eat your milk. Cheese is a much better way to consume dairy product than to drink fresh milk. Most
You should
people,
not drink milk. You should not drink milk, and you should especially not drink milk during meal, and
yeah,
especially with meat. So you know the Jews have a thing on you can't eat milk and food
and meat at the same time.
because you can't eat the mom and her milk or whatever, something like this.
Right.
But it makes a lot of sense because if you eat milk and you eat protein at the same time, you cannot absorb one of them, and that's going to be the meat.
Huh.
Because once you have to absorb meat, you need protease to digest protein. For the lactose, you need lactase. And when you have both of them in your stomach, the lactase overpowers the protease, so you can't absorb the meat. So it's a big issue because actually the lactose is not even that interesting. It's a sugar. So you really don't want that. You want the protein to be digested, not the lactase.
So in other words, having a milkshake with your hamburger is probably not a good.
Oh my God. When I see, I, I don't understand. That is something I have never understood. When my son, sometimes we go binge on burger, we order the burger. I would never. And I said, you can't do that. You can't do the milkshake with that. It's gonna, you can't. If you really want a milkshake, we'll wait a few hours. I'll
Right.
get you a milkshake in 3, 4 hours, or an hour before. You know what I mean? You can't do that. I can't. I would eat the burger with fried egg and bacon and fries, yes,
Yeah.
but I would not eat the milk in there. But
Yeah. Oh, you got me wanting a good burger now.
I
So the
know
ones
burgers
that
are
we
good.
didn't talk about yet are sheep, and sheep do not produce nearly as much milk as cows, but the milk they do produce is really high quality, and it's got a lot of fat in it. It's fabulous cheese,
Oh, nice.
fabulous milk for making cheese. In fact, some of my
Wow.
favorite cheeses are sheep's milk cheeses, especially those that are made up in the mountain country. In the Pyrenees, the sheep's milk made in the Pyrenees is some of the greatest stuff in the world.
Well, I told you that last time, but the higher the cow is in the mountain, the more omega 3 they get because they eat that grass. The omega 3 is in the grass, and the omega 3 is an anti-freeze. And what happens is when they eat, the cows come from the milk that come from the Alps is
Uh-huh.
loaded with omega 3 because of that. They convert that omega 3 and they eat it, and it's end up in your fat. It's beautiful stuff. It's crazy,
Yeah.
huh?
So think of that next time you buy some Swiss cheese, some real Swiss cheese. It's such good cheese. The other thing I love about cheese from Switzerland, I sound like I'm doing a commercial here, but I've been there and I see the way they do
I mean,
dairy
yeah, it's yeah, right.
and the average size herd of cows in Switzerland is somewhere between 10 and 15 cows, and they're all owned by small family farms, and then they pool the milk. The milk goes
Yeah,
to
yeah,
cooperatives where they make
cooperative, yeah.
cheese.
Right.
So everything's organic. Everything is, the cows are pasture raised. They go up into the mountains in the summertime. They come back down and they eat fresh hay in the wintertime. And that's also, that exercise is really good for them too. They produce such
Yeah,
quality milk. And the cheesemakers have to study for years and years and years to get certified to be a cheesemaker. And uh, great stuff. So, and then sheep are the same way. I mean, they typically, sheep are not raised in huge factory farms. They're
yeah.
smaller
The
herds,
the
pasture.
only the only problem I see with so I'm not going to say which hospital, but I work with some hospital, and they like to recommend cow's milk because of calcium and protein. I think it's a mistake personally because you don't get all of it anyways, and also it's very acidic. So basically, you don't really get calcium. You get some, but you use calcium because it's very acidic. So you're losing calcium as you go. You think the calcium doesn't come from your milk; it comes from your cheese and then all your greens.
Right.
Tons of all the green vegetables. There's a lot of calcium in food, in vegetables, lots of it. But also dairy and food and meat and stuff. But if you eat, uh, so what they say is there is less choline or folate. I'm sorry, folate.
That's what I always say.
So you should always eat goat milk, or goat yogurt, or goat cheese. Cow cheese are good if they are made from raw milk. Yes, but I would stick to cheese and goat and sheep, like you said. I
Well,
would not drink milk.
I do love
Kefir,
cow milk cheeses, but I tend to like the ones that have been aged more. I like the ones that are made in traditional ways, like real traditional cheddar.
yeah,
Parmigiano Reggiano, we've talked about a lot. Like I said,
and
the cheeses from Switzerland are always raw milk.
yes. So raw milk is very interesting, huh?
Yeah,
Uh,
big
when
controversy.
my son, I mean, the whole youth when he was drinking milk, I was always giving me raw milk. And one day, his pediatrician wanted to report me, and I'm like, I really don't care. He's not gonna drink that 1% fat that's made with disgusting fat, with full of sugar. Lactose is a sugar; it's full of it. There's no fat, so there's even more sugar. And I said, no, my son is gonna eat the raw milk, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And in raw milk, what you have to understand is that milk is protected.
Right.
That milk is full of bacteria and all
Good
this stuff to
bacteria.
protect. And it's the thing right now that scares me the most is people are cleaning everything, everything, everything. But they have to understand that if we don't have bacteria and microbes, we're gonna completely disappear from the earth. So the danger of other, and I know we have to wash our hands and sanitize because businesses we can't operate. I understand that. The problem is if you kill the bacteria on you or around you on my skin, those protect. If I have no protection, I don't know what's gonna happen. That's the thing. We're gonna get sick. So that's another subject.
Well, that pediatrician should see your son now because he's a very healthy boy. He looked the other day I saw you
Of
too. He
course.
looked. I think he's getting to be taller than you.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
So I shave his feet
You
when he
better be
sleeps.
nice
I
to him.
shave his feet a little.
Yeah, you better be nice to him now because he's going to be bigger than you. I feel it. So the one last thing I wanted to say about cheese is that cheesemakers are hurting right now, like so many other food producers, because their markets are closed essentially.
Yes,
So
let's. Yes,
buy artisan cheese whenever you can. A lot of them are selling online, and certainly there are still places you can get it, like Market Hall here in Berkeley and in Rockridge and Whole Foods and wherever fine cheeses are sold, as they say on TV. So buy good cheese, support those cheesemakers so that they're still around once this whole crazy pandemic is over. Save a cheesemonger, eat more cheese.
should I say save a cheese?
Eat a cheesemonger. They taste good. No,
Let's change that.
not right. That's not right. We're not
Save
cannibals.
cheese. I say save cheese, right?
Save a cheese. Save a cheesemonger.
No, save a cheese. Eat a
Save a
cheesemonger.
right? The cheesemongers are mostly still in business. Well, not all of them. Cheese board is closed. And anyway, we're out of time. We're out of cheese.
Is that better?
Save a cheese, eat more cheese. We'll figure this out. We'll figure it out. And
Uh,
ay, ay, ay.
oh my god!
God, I hope
You
people
think?
don't go. If people start eating cheesemongers, you're going to be in trouble.
Do you think my spelling is wrong?
Your punctuation is perfect.
All right.
All
All right,
right.
people. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us. Be safe. Eat well.
And eat cheese.